We have had many exciting developments in our 30 plus years of history at Redox, and I have to say this is a big one, greater expansion into the Midwest, America's heartland. We'll talk about that today, the technology and the opportunity on this Redox Grows Technical podcast. I'm Jim Morris with Redox Bionutrients. Joining me remotely is Zach Carlson. Zach, thanks for your time.
Absolutely. Thanks for the invite.
Oh, it's a pleasure, and we are very excited about what you and the team is doing. The other agronomy team members are Tyler Jones and Amy Burke. There's a lot of tremendous momentum, but there's a lot of education too. So let's get into that, how you're making progress with a very well-established set of farming practices in the Midwest. Tell me about the XPRT Farm in Missouri Valley, Iowa, and how that helps.
Yeah, so the XPRT Farm in Missouri Valley has been a labor of love when it all comes down to it. It's 600 acres of row crop farm, corn and soybeans. We set out to really define a mission, and the mission was access to knowledge. And what we wanted to do with that access of knowledge is bring in outside partners, bring in Redox, and actually do a collaboration between industry partners and Redox, because even after 30 years, we still don't know everything. And even Darren has said he doesn't know everything. So we want to be humble when we come with this information and how we do things. But we also find it extremely important to bring access to information to growers done right, for growers, by growers. And what I mean by that is we want the information to be easily digestible, but in a way that's scientific, that's backed up foundationally. And then we also want to go a step further and say this is by growers. This is by the BB family that we have partnered with and the Seabold family that we've partnered with. And we really want to have them invested in the time, doing the practices, doing the applications, looking at all of the crops that are there and giving us feedback really on an independent basis. And we have really set off in a quick fashion to start the XPRT Farm, both dryland, irrigated, manure, multiple different products by Redox. We've got foundational information that we don't know, but the partners that we've brought in and collaborators have really given us really institutional knowledge of DNA, RNA, irrigation, what the soil samples have been, Haney test, total digestible nutrients, all of those factors. So we're trying to really stack data on top of each other and give that back into a grower in a way that they can understand it, because the biostimulant and bionutrient arena is very busy, but after 30 years we know what the mistakes are and we know what not to do, but we also know how to move forward in a really good fashion, and we don't know everything yet. So let's set out and really and define those and find those with confidence. We want to have confidence when it all comes down to it.
Wow. Well, our partners are helping us significantly. We'll get into more of that in a moment. We do have more than 30 years experience, but as you say, Darren Moon and Company, still it's a learning process. We want to continue to open up new scientific frontiers. You have more than 15 years of agronomic experience. You're also a University of Nebraska grad, so you know the Midwest mindset very well. You talked about that grower-centric mentality. The pragmatic nature of growers, they may be excited by technology, but there's a lot of risks out there as well. So how do you reassure them that what we are saying is going to take place in their fields?
I think growers want to talk to agronomists, to industry leaders that have confidence, that understand those mistakes that can be made, and really be humble when it all comes down to it. Let's start at a systematic approach. Let's set a good foundation based upon science, agronomy, and then let's work up from there. Let's make sure that we're not sending products or inputs into a system that doesn't necessarily want to handle it. Let's look at what the microbes are telling us. Let's look at what the soil is telling us, because the relationship between soil and the plant is the one thing that's the most important. And if we can understand what the soil could give us, and we understand what the plant is telling us that it's asking for, then we know the gap that can be that is there. So we know the range. And a lot of the information that we're giving to growers, we want it to be simple, but we also want it to be foundational. So really at the XPRT Farm, that's what we're doing. And I think that's what growers are really asking for in this day and age in 2025, is they got plenty of access to knowledge, but it's the right knowledge, and it's by the right companies that really want to move them forward and be a partner with them.
Yeah, we're certainly in it for the long haul, and there's a learning curve, but we also have decades of success in farms all across the country, and I'm glad that we're seeing success in the Midwest as well. Bionutrition, just that very concept, how do you explain that to a grower?
Bionutrition is really, it's obviously about nutrients, but what we're trying to do at Redox is define nutrients as more of a positive or negative charge. But when it all comes down to it, that's foundational. Plants do not know if it's NPK, boron, zinc, whatever. It's all about the charges and the balances that are there. So when we bring in the bionutrients, we're trying to package them with biostimulants. So biostimulants, there are about 8 or 9 really concrete categories that are there. Now, there's really only about 5 or 6 that have really good efficiency to them. And what Redox does is takes them a step further and really defines what works inside of each one of those, so subcategories of categories. And we package those with nutrients to make sure that when that plant is accessing the nutrients and it's stimulated by the biostimulants, that anything that we do is not throwing off that balance of charges that is there. So not talking about pounds to the acre anymore. We're talking about parts to the million on it. So that's how plants look at things. We don't need 1 pound per plant. We don't even need 0.001 pounds per plant. We need parts per million when it all comes down to it. So it's very important, and it brings a lot of confidence when we're standing in front of a grower talking about this.
Redox, homeostasis, plant charge balance. When that plant is in balance, it's going to focus on yield and quality. It will not be struggling with some of the issues that can be out there, abiotic stress, things of that nature. So this is really encouraging. I'm glad that the growers are getting that information. Thanks for your great work there. Manure is an important part of the Expert Farm. Tell me that process and why.
Yeah, as we set off on this path in the Midwest, we realized that manure is an extremely important and up-and-coming industry that's there. It's kind of a side industry. There's a lot of animal agriculture that's out there, and my family is part of that. And I want it to be brought attention to it, that it's more of an access to the manure instead of growers that want it. So knowing that, normal manure was applied on very, very high tons to the acre. Now, when it comes to that, shipping or logistics of manure is very difficult outside of the core of where that manure is coming from. So we wanted to set out and say, hey, how low can we get with a tons to the acre by enhancing it with a Redox product or products in this fashion? How can we research that to spread out the area of influence of that manure operation or company that's doing those applications? How can we bring down the total tons to the acre so that we get better efficiency so we can spread the wealth? Because over the last 5 years, it has gone from I can't get rid of my manure freely to now it's very expensive to do. So we've really crossed the chasm of supply and demand when it all comes down to it. The supply is lower, but the demand is higher. So how can we bring up the supply to that demand in a lower tons to the acre and more higher efficiency? Because we're always chasing efficiency. That's where we can get better in agriculture, is getting better at efficiency, both by nutrients, manure, applications, how many times we go across the field, that abiotic stress that we talk about. How can we come better at the efficiencies of those? So manure became very important to our Midwest growers, and we set out at the Expert Farm to really research this very in depth. It's one of our highest studied fields at the farm.
Surrounding yourself with good people is very important. Abe Sandquist is helping you on the manure front. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so Abe has decades of institutional knowledge, both from the USDA all the way to his own private company now. He has been a tremendous partner in all of this, getting the applications done, doing the testing, and then actually just being a good representative partner in the manure industry that's up and coming. And I can't speak highly enough about Abe. He's been open and honest with us. He's like, hey, this is what I want to do. You guys want to do it too. So it was a great synergy when it all comes down to it. So he touches a lot of growers in that Midwest and really helps them out and is really fighting toward that lower tons to the acre so they can spread that wealth out. So yes, natural fertilizers, Abe Sandquist, awesome partner to be with.
Let's talk about some of the other partners. Total Acre is critical, getting the analytical data. Also, you mentioned the Siebold and BB families. How important are these partners? And talk about any that you want to.
Yeah, we couldn't do it. I first want to hit with the BB family. Tremendous growers, tremendous attitudes. We had some mistakes. We had some things that we had to get past, and they were there lockstep with us, supporting us, encouraging us. I can't talk enough about Kyle, Kent, Cody, the whole family. They're still they're still making applications that are out there. They're still pushing the envelope. They want this as bad as we do. So we couldn't ask for a better partner. And when it comes to the Siebold family, the salt of the earth, they're exactly who we want to partner with on their acres. And anything that we ask, they have been like, yes, this is very important to us. When it comes to Total Acre, Total Acre is the partner of all partners. We are using YMS right now. YMS is a tremendous, awesome platform that has been instrumental in gathering data for a company like us, instead of more of a large retailer, being able to compile everything together, seamlessly share data within partners, and also do a lot of background analytics, even in season. So I can't talk highly enough about Total Acre, their YMS platform as a company, and also the growers within Total Acre. They are hungry for knowledge. They are hungry to keep pushing the envelope, and there's such a great synergy that happens between Redox and Total Acre growers, because that is what we want to do. We are not stopping. After 30 years, I think we just found our next frontier when it all comes down to this. We want to go for the next 30 years and beyond. So Total Acre, BB family, Siebold family, absolutely amazing.
And just one note on Total Acre. So when you have people like Brian Maddox and Bryce over there, analytics, it makes sense. Analytics have done wonders in sports. And if a grower is looking for that extra edge, which I think they all are, they can get it because the numbers, we're getting more data all the time, right?
Yeah. I think the fringes are where we have to live on right now. We know that agriculture isn't necessarily moving we've increased yields 1-2% over the last couple years. Now that's just not really moving the ball, so we have to think about things differently, and Total Acre does that. They have such institutional knowledge and such a database that helps us move things forward, and it helps us put our information in and their analytic tools to help us find those fringes. What is that little extra piece that we can keep going and keep moving forward with? So it's Brian Maddox, Randy Seaver, Bryce. They're just absolutely amazing people, and always willing to tell us, hey, this is another avenue that you need to take. Here's another fringe that you need to go look at. So it's been absolutely amazing.
Surround yourself with good people. I mean, that's one of the keys. And of course, we have the technology too. Why don't we talk about that? This is the bionutrition, the great nutrition. You need just small amounts of it for great efficiency, combined with the synergistic effect of biostimulants that are very carefully sourced. Let's start with RDX-N, a decade in the making, nitrogen optimization. Tell me more about this and how excited growers are.
The nitrogen management or nitrogen optimization or reduction industry or side of agriculture has really picked up over the last 5 years, and I was part of it. Until I came to Redox, I was a little bit short-sighted on what that equation looked like and how effective we could be on nitrogen reduction. When we talk about RDX-N and 10 years of research, Darren didn't fully believe it because it was too good to be true. So he slowed down to speed up. RDX-N we're talking about nitrogen metabolism. And the key to nitrogen assimilation and metabolism is non-storage of nitrogen. What RDX-N really does is it balances nitrogen once it gets into the plant, and it makes sure that it uses a very strong biostimulant to make sure that metabolism completes its cycle. Now, if metabolism doesn't complete its cycle, it goes into storage because a plant wants to store something that it likes. But if we can metabolize nitrogen better, we reduce the stress. We also, by reducing the stress, we increase the energy of that plant. If we increase the energy of that plant, we then have more energy to go down into the roots. Those roots touch the soil, and then we can get more nutrients that is there. So 70% of the nitrogen that we apply is causing an imbalance that's already there. So if we can make that efficiency better, then we can actually make the nutrients that we're putting on, all the P's, the K's, the borons, especially the K that's there, we can make water efficiency better. Because if we're not storing nitrogen, we don't have to use energy to get it back out. Plus, we don't have to use excess moisture to get it back out. So it's all about nitrogen optimization or nitrogen metabolism in the correct fashion and getting those amino acids, getting those nutrients to all cycle so that the sugars, the amino acids can go to actual fruit, which is what we get paid on.
Yeah, and I am amazed at that figure. I've heard it several times with a 70% in efficiency when you put the materials out there. So this makes a lot of sense. One of the areas of technology that's really exciting is H85, humic acids, but they're not all created the same. Tell me about what the strength is of this Redox product and how you're utilizing it.
Yeah, H85, couldn't be more excited about that one, especially the process that we put Leonardite through to create H85. It's highly fractionalized. So what does that mean? We take Leonardite and we separate it into humic, fulvics, and then the humans. So the long, the short, and the medium chains. Once we do that, we take it a whole step further and we really start separating a lot of the amino acids that's out there because we don't need every amino acid in our products, or the crops don't need it during specific times. We might be turning something on and turning something off at the exact same time with all the amino acids that we use. So by that highly fractionated humic acid or H85 that we're creating, we want to make sure that those, when we put those in a lot of our products, they are very specific to the amino acids that we use. So let's take RDX-N in this fashion. So nitrogen optimization. We know that 70% of carbon in the nitrogen cycle comes from photosynthesis. Well, where does the last 30% come? It comes from the soil. It comes from the carbon that is there. So if we are adding that into our products, RDX-N has our H85 fraction in it, then we're adding that carbon to make sure that we complete the nitrogen cycle. H85 is an extremely highly fractionated product. It's high quality. It's also highly consistent. Everything that we're doing on the Expert Farm has H85 on it. We are putting it in furrow, we're foliar applying, we're using it quite a bit on our manure enhancement acres that's there to make sure how can we aid in the energy of microbes that we are getting from manure to make sure that we are increasing their efficiencies. So I couldn't be more excited about H85 and getting that into growers' hands and getting it onto acres.
You touched on something very important, consistency. Obviously, this is a learning process in the region, but our products have a track record of decades of success. Growers need to have an assurance that these products will work consistently for them to be interested, correct?
Yes, absolutely. And one thing I want to hit on is Redox is self-funding ISO 9001 certification. So ISO 9001 certification is making sure that we're bringing somebody in third party. We are then having them look at our process. We're having them look at our product, both beginning, supply, and also end. So what's going out the door, and making sure that it is consistent on this day as it was 5 years ago, as it will 5 years from now. That is extremely important to Darren and Redox, and that is something that I just don't hear on the marketplace. So that gives me the confidence to go in front of growers and saying, when you purchase this, when you use it, you know that it's exactly what it's going to do, and here's the solution to a potential problem or issue that you're running into.
Let's talk about some of the other materials that are popular and the programs that you're using, Banks, Mainstay SI. How helpful are they?
Oh, I mean, abiotic stress defenses in the Midwest is extremely important. I mean, there's never a day between it could be too rainy, it could be too hot, it could be too cold, it could be too dry. You just never know what you're going to get, and these crops can't move. They can't pick up their feet and move to some place where they're comfortable with lay seed, just like us. So they have to have some power put back into them. They have to be stimulated in a way and charge balanced in a way that they can resist anything that's going on. It could be disease, it could be insects, it could be water or stresses on that side. So using mainstay SI and making sure that calcium and cell walls are strengthened is extremely important, both for nitrogen and also the assimilation of just all the other nutrients that's there. When it comes to banks, a very high biostimulant with P, K, boron, and zinc. Those are extremely important during that growing season, especially when kernel fill starts happening. And those have been applied on the farms, on the Expert Farm, and also multiple growers across the Midwest. And there's been great increases in just stock quality, as well as just leaf ability to have more of a solar panel that's out there. So we want to make sure that those cell walls are very strong when it all comes down to it. So we're a very systematic approach when we come to the customization of a pathway program when it comes to Redox.
So one of the last things we want to do is just to do something for the sake of doing it. Well, we've always done it this way. I mean, that's certainly not the Redox DNA. Soil testing is very important. Tell me about how this is carried out by you and the team.
Yeah, so we understand that soil testing is very important because we have to figure out what's present that's there. Redox takes it a step further and says, okay, we know what's present, but we also know that when we take a soil sample, we're washing everything out of that soil. So that plant can't do that. It can't do it to the power that we can in a lab. So we take it a step further and we actually implement a cipher report. And that cipher report process shows what is present in the soil, but it also goes a step further and says, let's take deionized water and let's wash that soil. Let's wash that soil so that we know what is available to that plant over the lowest energy possible from when those roots touch that soil. So now we know the highs and the lows. Now we know some deficiencies that could come through the season. Hey, late in the season, I'm just simply not getting calcium into my plant. Well, it's present, but it's not available. So why? So the interactions between those is very important. So we help our growers understand the availability versus the present nutrients that are in that soil. We have done this both on the Malic 3 tests on 2.5 acre grids on the farm. Plus we've also taken cipher reports on every field that we do. So we know the foundation that's there. And now we set out as a customized path to really understand how can Redox through the season know that. Where can we make the changes? Tissue tests are extremely important too. So we're doing those on a weekly basis. It's all about a systematic approach to tell a story, to say how we're charge balancing that. So you kind of go back to what you said is we've done this for a long time. We've always done this. I think growers are changing. They want to do something different. But they're risk adverse. They're the riskiest people that are out there. I always say they live in Las Vegas every day. They're just not physically in Las Vegas. They risk everything they have every single year. We want to make sure we have the confidence to say, hey, let's take a step forward. Let's make sure we de-risk your investments that are there. And how do we do that? We do that in a way that has confidence with products that stimulate crops in the way that they should, because we understand crops at Redox. That's what we've done for 30 years.
The technology is important, but also the customer service. There's a lot of questions that growers are asking, and I have not met a more charged group than you and Amy and Tyler. You all come out of the gate fast, and you're committed to a marathon and a sprint at the same time. How important is that customer service being there? It's not always going to be between 9 and 5.
No, it's absolutely not. And growers don't work 9 to 5. They work
Right.
all the way. I mean, there's 365 days that they work. There's always something to do on the farm. There's always something to worry about. We need to worry about that same thing. But we also need to give them the tools to de-stress themselves because it's a very stressful job. We want to make sure that we are there as a consultant, as an agronomist, to answer some of the questions that they may have. We may not know their questions or the answers to their question. We may need to reach out to industry experts that may not be in Redox. We're connection pieces. We are trying to get knowledge to them first. It's not about selling a product. It's about helping them understand why we're saying what we're doing and why we're recommending the certain product that there were situations where I recommended, nope, there's not anything that I can help you with except you need to fix this, this, and this. And these are physical practices. We need to apply more sulfur. We need to help with the compaction area. These are the kind of things that just aid in rapport with growers, of just understanding we are there to help them and really move them forward and get them past a stressful time.
Number one rule at Redox, tell the truth.
That's
So I
right.
want to talk with you again about the importance of having this farm and something a grower can physically see and talk with a team. We have 2 PhDs on staff, Gifford Gillette, Dr. Debataj Das. They do excellent research. We have our research farm here. We have cooperative arrangements with growers and universities throughout the U.S. But when a grower in the Midwest is coming to see corn and soybeans in their backyard and they can see these crops and the different techniques you're using and talk with you and Tyler and Amy directly, that is an incredible amount of help, I imagine.
It really is, because it shows that we're putting our money where our mouth is, and that we are not stopping with research. I can't speak more highly about Darren Moon on how he has so much power, so much charge, so much want and desire to keep going.
Yes.
And once he learned that we were doing the expert farm, it was like, yes, this is important to Midwest growers. This is important to the viability of agriculture in America. Let's do this. Let's do it in a way that's for growers by growers. When growers meet us and they meet the farm and they meet how we interact with them, it is in a much different way, because he has instilled to us that you don't know everything. I don't know everything. Let's make sure that we are driving forward and learning the things that we don't know. The expert farm does that. We are not afraid to tell the truth, because why would we hide in the untruths? It doesn't help any of us in agriculture. Growers don't know things, we don't know things, but we want to make sure that when they come to the expert farm, they feel invited and willing to ask questions, the tough questions that's there, because that we have to be very confident, but we also have to be open in this industry. It's a partnership between growers and industry. When that meshes, and that's what we're driving forward with, that's what's most important.
We have the technology, we have the transparency, we have the commitment from the team. Years down the road, do you foresee a lot of growth in this area?
I think we're at the beginning of the beginning, as I say. You can always say we're at the beginning of the end. We're not even close to the end of this. This is going to pick up speed. The biostimulant side, there's a lot of players in it. I think there's going to be a separation when it all comes down to it over the next probably 5 to 10 years. You're going to see the haves and the have-nots. And I have enough confidence with Redox that we are going to be the haves and the wants and the desires, because we're doing this the right way. I've seen what doesn't work, and I've seen what works. And when you have that kind of confidence in a way that's being humble, but having confidence to stand in front of someone, that is where the separation in this industry is going to go.
August 20th is a big date. That's the field day. Darren will be out there, as well as the entire agronomy team. People can see the crops, the different techniques that you're using. How important is that day? How excited are you about the field day?
I have that date circled, starred, and in multiple different colors on my calendar. The first time that I listened to Darren talk, I was blown away by the ability for him to get information out in a way that's easily digestible, that's foundational, that's scientific, that's humble but confident. I keep hitting on those. Darren is going to be in the Midwest, and he is always willing to talk to growers about anything and everything and say, this is what I've done in the past. Don't go down that path. You're going to waste money on it. I've done it. So don't do that. He's giving that knowledge back, and that's the access to knowledge. So August 20th is going to be a day that will set Redox apart from everyone else. I truly believe that. With who the speakers that we have, the data that we are going to have, just the ability to stand in front of growers and just answer those tough questions and just have a fun, informational, on farm, by growers, for growers kind of information. This isn't a large farm day or whatever that is out there. We want to do this in a way that's very intimate and can make them feel like they're a part of this. We want growers in the Midwest to feel like they're a part of this. Like if they want to go out and see the farm, drive over and see it. Drive out there. We have nothing that we want to hide on anything. I'll meet you out there. One of our teammates will meet you out there. We'll answer your questions. So August 20th, mark it down. It's going to be a day that will live for many years to come.
That's awesome. Yeah, I can't wait. I've already signed up. You can find out more at redoxgrows.com, and on the Midwest page, you can sign up right now. It's going to be fantastic. So I appreciate your time, Zach. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, Jim. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, and thank you everyone for joining us, and we hope to see you at the field day August 20th.
That's right. Thank you.